George Brown.
All right, next to us is Ignacio Daza. He started doing engineering and architecture when he was your age. You guys want fourth grade, 9 and 10? He was a little older than you guys, 12, 13. He designed this fort after a fort where? Puerto Rico, El Moro. El Moro is about 4 times the size of this fort. The fort that we're in right now, the Castillo, is it undefeated? No. It's undefeated. Part of the reason it's undefeated is the shape of it. It is a star design dating back to the Renaissance, medieval times. The design of this fort is meant to maximize firepower and minimize blind spots. What does that mean for someone standing on the outside?
Yeah, it was kind of hard to attack.
It'll be hard to attack. You could be seen and there would be a cannon pointing right at you. They would have 68 to 75 cannons up on the gun deck. So part of the reason it's undefeated is the shape and what it's made out of. What is it made out of? Raise your hand if you know. Yes. It rhymes with shmoshina.
Coquina. Coquina. Shells. It's just the shells. Yeah, those little teeny weeny shells. They just cut big blocks over there. It's like all these outside buildings over there. And just a information. Hey, how you doing?
This is a standard soldier's pack for both the Spanish Empire and the British Empire between the years 1640 and 1740. My backpack at that time as an infantryman would have carried me and weighted about anywhere from 45 to 75 pounds, depending how hungry I was or how limited I was on the resources where I'd be going. But everything was designed to make me self-sufficient, to including me being a master tailor, repairing my own equipment, a master chef, by having spices and things that I could use to be able to eat, medicinal items. Now, of course, I don't want you to believe for 1 second that somebody at my rank and stature would actually have glass vials and carry them in a nice content. This would have been something that was in a leather pouch that I would have had and I would have done. But all of these items, including my mess kit, my weapons cleaning, I was responsible to make my own rounds. There wasn't an armorer. I had to clean my weapon, fix my weapon, repair my weapon, make my repairs to my clothes, start my own fires, fish for my own food. But the things that are over here that are most important.
Got some cards.
So obviously there's a lot of downtime. In the Army, there's always a lot of hurry up and wait time. So what do you do to kill the time? You gamble with your friends and play games of chance. But the personal hygiene kit. The standing order between 1640 and 1780 was every soldier would be clean shaven and reported to duty every day until you got here to the New World. So one of the things that relaxed up, not for the British, but for the Spanish, was this was the New World. This was the new Spanish Empire. It became in fashion here in Florida for men to have a mustache and a goatee. In fact, when you see a lot of pictures of Spanish soldiers, you'll see that even in the 1600s and 1700s, that they all had goatees, very nice, and long hair. It was very fashionable for men to have long hair, and it was always tied back, and they wore it underneath their tricorn. But this item would have been something that they would have used sparingly. You didn't really need to if you were a soldier. The other thing that was different between the British and the Spanish at the time was this item right here. So what this is a water flask. Or I should say, if you're British, it's a water flask. If you're Spanish,
Wine.
the Spanish did something.
Wine,
They
rum.
put wine in it. So it wasn't pure wine. It was wine mixed with water, or depending to your taste, wine mixed with water, water mixed with wine. But there was a reason. It wasn't because the Spanish were very laid back. Hola, ¿qué tal? It wasn't like that. It had a very good reason. The alcohol in the water actually helped keep them healthy. It killed the bad bacteria. The water, by the way, isn't the kind of water that we're all used to now. When you go to the tap and you hit it, it comes out clean. In fact, water at this time would have been much more brown. In fact, if you saw the water from that they had to drink at that point, you would probably not drink it because you know better. But at that time, that's what water looked like. So by adding wine and the water mixed together, you had a better chance of killing the bacteria that would make you sick or cause an infection or anything. The other thing was food preparation. There was no FDA. There was no one watching how food was made, the countertops, if it was clean, and the utensils that were used. We didn't have refrigerators, and the 5-second rule did not apply. If it hit the ground and it was still edible, or you found it and it looked like it wasn't too bad, let's cut it up and eat it. So having a little bit of that wine in there definitely helped kill the bacteria, and it gave them what they needed to be able to do. The items at the far end of the table. God, I don't want you to believe for 1 second that a standard soldado or a buck private in the British military would ever have any of these items. These items were for educated gentlemen. These would be for sergeants, officers, and above. And the reason being is because to be an enlisted man, it was not required that you could read or write. When you signed your contract, most contracts were signed with one letter, and that was an X. All right, signifying that you understood it. And if you were a Spanish soldier, upon signing your contract,
Look at that, gold.
you would receive 1 gold
Peso.
doubloon, peso,
Doubloon,
depending on who you work for. So this would be it. And if you were lucky enough, you would get paid every year, unless you were stationed at St. Augustine. If you were stationed at St. Augustine, at some point it would be 4 years between the next paycheck. And that's because that's how long it took the Spanish crown to send a treasure ship this way. Because treasure ships went one way, and it was never to us. It was always back to Spain. And St. Augustine didn't have the gold that South America had, or the Caribbean, or areas around that. They sent back gold, molasses, sugar, things of super value. Guys, this is Florida. We don't have that, but we did have one thing in St. Augustine. We had the turnpike right to the ocean. When you come out here into the ocean, right out here on my bayfront, that wind will shoot you straight to Europe. So the turnaround was the winds come South Africa or South America, come back up to Florida, and go back to Europe. And that's how the trade winds worked. You didn't go this way, going that way. It's one-way traffic. It's a one-way street. You would go across that way. So what became important for St. Augustine was the fact that this was the last gas station. You know, when you say last gas station for 250 miles, this is the last gas station for 4,000 miles. So this was the Costco at the time. Each one of these rooms, these cascades, these weren't barracks. Soldiers didn't live here. When the Spanish held this and we built it, we lived in the city. There's only 2 rooms in this entire Castillo that were designed to hold soldiers, and those are the soldiers' barracks underneath when you go through the sally port. And you'll know which ones they are because they have a fireplace. No other rooms have a fireplace because these were storage rooms. So this was Walmart, Costco, whatever way you want to call it. This is where you would stop to get all your supplies to get you all the way to the New World from here to there. That was the reason why we were important, all right? Now, later on it became important because of the division and the way that, I don't know, let's say those pesky trader colonists in the 1780s, 1760s, the Americans declared independence from the British Crown. One of the things that they no longer teach in American schools is the fact that Florida had 2 colonies that stayed loyal to Britain. When you look at our American flag today, you see 13 bars, 13 stripes. Everyone knows the story, 13 original colonies, right? No, there wasn't 13 colonies in the United States, there were 15. 2 of them stayed loyal to the crown, Florida East and Florida West. St. Augustine was the capital of Florida East, Pensacola was the capital of Florida West. They stayed loyal the entire time, loyal to the crown. So how did the British repay these 2 wonderful patriot colonies that stayed loyal to them the entire time during the Revolutionary War?
They robbed them down.
Essentially. They owed Spain so much money after the Revolutionary War, the only way they could pay it back was they gave them Florida. So everybody here that had stayed loyal to the king, God and country, hey, congratulations, learn how to speak Spanish because now you're part of Spain. And it stayed part of Spain from 1783 all the way up until 1821 when it became another state. It joined the Union. Now, one of the reasons why it's so amazing to walk through this entire Castillo is each one of these rooms are set up chronologically. If you start in the far corner in the clockwise formation, you'll see all 350 years. The room you're in right now is from the Plains Indians' time. Now you can see this gentleman right here, Captain Pratt. Captain Pratt is a Civil War officer, a Union Civil War officer. This Castillo was held both by the Union and the Confederacy. People forget, Florida seceded from the Union. Must be that weird thing they've got going on here. So they seceded from the Union, but A USS Wabash came and sailed into port one day, and they took the fortress from the Confederates without a single shot being fired. And this fortress was held by the Union, even though the entire state of Florida was still a Confederate state. And it didn't seep back into the Union until the end of the Civil War when the Proclamation ending. But the Plains Indians that were held here, there's a lot of wonderful things that happened. That time frame that happened is one of the reasons why we have this room. But this display had nothing to do with the Civil War. This was simply what would have been done. And the other thing we don't talk about, this would have been the same pack that the British, the Spanish, and the French had. All of us had basically the same uniforms, same requirements, everything that happened through it. The French did not do wine though, only the Spanish did the wine. Guys, please feel free to take a look at everything I've got on my table. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
Okay, thank you very
My
much.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Osceola.
Absolutely. So, not a problem.
So it is another opportunity for this place to come alive. So we all rejoice.